Liz, you're muted.
Hi, everybody. Sorry about that. 3 years of Zoom and you still don't know how to unmute. It happens all the time, right? Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Liz Pollock. I'm the Vice President of Marketing, Communications, and Events for Hudson Gateway. And thank you so much for joining us today. We have a great program planned. First, we're going to let me introduce our commercial chair and vice chair, Don Minichino and Steve Saljanin. And we're going to get right started with our county executive of Westchester, Ken Jenkins. So Don, I believe you're going to introduce Ken for us.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Mr. County Executive, thank you for joining us as well. County Executive Ken W. Jenkins, who took office in January 2025 as Westchester's 10th County Executive, has long been committed to public service, democracy, safety, education, technology, and community engagement. Before this historic role, he served as Deputy County Executive under George Latimer and previously represented his community as a member and later chairman of the Westchester County Board of Legislators. Throughout his career, Mr. Jenkins has championed affordable housing, environmental protection, women's rights, tax relief for veterans and families, and investments in infrastructure, earning a reputation as a fierce advocate for middle-class families. Beyond government, Mr. Jenkins built a successful career in telecommunications and technology with companies including Apple, AT&T, and Verizon, and also gained real estate experience as a broker and business owner. His dedication to community service includes leadership roles with the NAACP, United Way, Graceland Foundation, and several local advisory committees. A lifelong Democrat, he has held numerous party leadership positions and served as a frequent political analyst on News 12 Westchester. The proud son of a police officer and a nurse, Mr. Jenkins is an alumnus of Fordham Prep and Iona University, and with his wife Deborah has lived in Yonkers since 1982, raising 3 children and celebrating grandparenthood. County Executive Jenkins, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Don, thank you so much, and Liz, thank you so much for that great introduction. Don, is going to be longer than I'm going to speak today, but the truth again is that I'm glad to be here with my HGAR family, certainly, and from my real estate days, which I had to change up just because of the world that I'm in right now. The reality is that this MGM Empire City proposal is critically important for us here in Westchester County, certainly for the city of Yonkers, and certainly for HGAR. The question gets to be, how does that impact the things that are going on? I don't need to tell you all about the challenges as far as inventory is concerned for Westchester County. I don't need to say to you with the medium income price, the medium house price in Westchester County is, we're creeping, right at $900,000 for median house price in Westchester County. So this particular investment that's being made by MGM and Empire City Casino to get that full license is important for so many reasons. For the city of Yonkers, it's an annual estimate of $56 million of revenue to the city of Yonkers directly. For Westchester County, that's built into the agreement proposal is $15 million per year, and our 2 neighboring counties, which we love and care about, especially since we have our president living in Putnam County, that we were able to do different things that are going on. Again, they split $15 million between our 2 neighboring counties. There's 2,000 new jobs that'll happen for the MGM directly. The compensation package has been significant. It's been upgraded since the beginning of the time that we had MGM take over Empire City Casino. It's an average of $150,000 from a compensation package. In this construction area, another 6,500 jobs that'll happen between that, indirect and influence jobs. Certainly the continuation of what we have going on here in the Hudson Valley. We know that there's $3.3 billion that have been spent from Hudson Valley tourism that is concerned. Westchester County accounts for the majority of that particular set of spend that happens all of that works into HGAR's world that says, when people get a chance to come up and visit, and whether it's for something as crazy as Sleepy Hollow with, with the things that are happening, Sleepy Hollow and Halloween and great things like that, but all across Westchester County, throughout Westchester County, the various restaurants, venues, etc. It just is an enhancement to Westchester County, and it's going to be an additional destination. Eventually, in the further phases down the road, if MGM should be successful, and we are more than cheering to say that that should happen, for the licenses, for the 3 licenses that are expected to be issued by New York State, and we're in the middle of that process right now, that MGM is going to build in a $250 million facility with 5,000 seats. It is different than the county center. It's an entertainment venue. MGM has people that are on contract, the top line entertainment that will, again, attract people to come to Westchester. And when they come to Westchester, once they come and visit, they want to stay. And that's where you all come in. So again, I think that there's so many great things that can happen from this. But again, the voices need to continue to be heard. There's been things that have been raised in the public hearings. I know the last final hearing before the voters is coming up. Certainly, I think that this is something that HGAR should be engaged in, and certainly advocating for to continue the forward movement of Westchester County. We have so many great things that are happening here for us. The last count was a little over 1 million people. We think that by the next time we get to the census, hopefully it will be at a 1.2 million people in Westchester County, and we're going to continue to make the investments in life science, biotechnology, and the things that happen for all of us. So with our partnership, we feel strongly that we can continue to make sure that our voices get heard, and that those powers that be that'll be making the final selection on the licenses that are going to be distributed hear strongly from the Westchester community family, whether it's from our economic development side, from our HGAR side, from a realtor perspective, from our local officials, certainly from the mayor of the city of Yonkers, my friend Mike Spano, Mayor Mike Spano, and the folks moving forward there. I think that this is something that is fantastic. The facility is centrally located. It is in a perfect location. It certainly has the Metro North station that is, at the Mount Vernon West train station, that is public transportation, people taking the number 20 bus from the number 4 from Woodlawn, the end of Woodlawn. We continue to work from a county perspective in making those adjustments with the help of MGM, Empire City. They've been fantastic partners to work with, and we're looking forward to trying to continue and getting this thing done. From a facility perspective, again, whether we have our airport, Westchester Airport, as you all know, is that hidden gem. And we'll take a whole different meeting with that and can talk about the reasons why that is. But it's because
Well,
it basically has its own airspace.
hi, Danny, how are you?
We're good, right? To make sure that we can continue to have the first, second, or third busiest airport from a general aviation perspective, not in the United States, in the world, right? So we have so many things happening here in Westchester County. Again, your input, your promotor moving this forward from HGAR's perspective is really, really important. With that, I'm happy to take questions, Liz, Don, from any of our HGAR members, to be able to say, where Westchester is. If it didn't come across clearly, I'm sure that it did, that we are 1,000% behind MGM Empire City achieving this license. And again, it's really important that voices are heard. There is competition that's out there, but we are the only one that is not in the city, right? So we feel strongly that MGM Empire City Casino should get that full licensing. And again, there's so many other investments that MGM Empire City is going to make, and I'm sure the team will be able to tell you that from Empire City.
That's great. Thank you so much. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat and we can dive in. Great. While we wait for any questions, I just want to welcome Laura Sedgley, our HGAR 2025 president. Thanks for joining us today. And we also have our CEO, Linda Fernandez, on as well. So thank you both for attending. Well, if there are no questions, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said, awesome. I hope I didn't put everyone to sleep with the excitement. This is really, really important that the voices of the Hudson Gateway Association of Realtors, HGAR, is out there in front because, again, the advocacy helps make that difference. And one of the things that that we continue to learn as the process continues to unfold in front of us, the places, the Aqueduct and us here at MGM Empire City, because there's a set of investments that have already been made, need stronger voices to come to the table, because one of the values that it seems that there's going to be some analysis on at the Gaming Commission level is how much money you're putting in now. Well, the fact of the matter is MGM Empire City has been a fantastic partner in investing in the Racino where it is right now, and have put in hundreds of millions of dollars into it. So again, we don't want those to not be or be discounted. We think that should be an important place specifically from an anchor perspective. And we hope that you will be able to be there strongly with all of us together as we move forward.
Great. Thank you. I see that Laura had asked if we could provide any stats or information from Hudson Gateway. We have access to a lot of great economic and housing reports as well as market stats. So if there's anything that you all would find beneficial, either County Executive or Taryn, who we're going to get to her presentation in just a moment, feel free to let us know, and we're happy to help, provide any data or stats that we can. We had another question if there will be any impact to the racetrack. I think Taryn's going to cover that in her presentation, but County Executive, if you have.
I'm going to leave it to the expert with Taryn, but the answer from our perspective is no, right? There's still that was part of the initial conversation right from the beginning, that the racetrack needed to be protected, and that is going to continue on. Now, as far as the investments that they're making, it is a tremendous amount of investment that is happening for the Racino to be able to do that. So again, Taryn has all of the details in that. So we're going to continue to leave that up to her. But I know that there are some enthusiasts out there.
We have one more question. Is it important that Empire City would be able to bring its facility to market faster than the other proposed gaming facilities?
I'll leave that to Taryn as well. But for us, again, the fact is that they already can see the tremendous. There is already a record for Empire City, MGM Empire City Casino, which is why it is in a perfect position to continue to turn things around much quicker, to get revenue into the state of New York. I'm hopeful that's going to be taken into consideration, but Taryn will let us know for sure.
Great. Well, I've seen a sneak preview of the presentation. I'm excited for you all to see it. She's got great details about the projects and great visuals. So thank you so much for your time today, County Executive Jenkins. I know you have to go for another meeting, so we thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you soon.
See you all soon. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, County Executive.
So we'll have Steve Saljanin, who's our CID Vice Chair. He's going to introduce our presenter today, Taryn Duffy.
Hello, everyone. I'm introducing Taryn Duffy. She's the founder and president of Tarsum Public Affairs. With nearly 30 years of public experience in public policy, communications, and community engagement, Taryn has been a leading voice across New York's political and business sectors. She previously served as vice president of public affairs for the Northeast Division of MGM Resorts. While there, she oversaw government affairs and philanthropy and community engagement, all while being a chairperson in the New York Gaming Association. Today, she continues her work in gaming, real estate, and economic development while serving on the boards of Arts Westchester, Business Council of Westchester, New York City Friends and Firefighters, and the Bronx Chamber of Commerce. We're honored to have her here. We're honored to have her here with us today, speaking about the expansion of MGM's Empire City Casino. Please join us in welcoming Taryn Duffy.
Thank you all. Bear with me as we do the awkward screen share, and you tell me if everybody can see my screen. All right. Do we have it?
We are good to go. Thank you.
I actually think, Liz, I'm going to stop sharing and share again because I think I have a video and I did not click the share sound. So bear with me. And then tell me if you can see my screen. Do you see it?
Yes, all set.
Thank you for your patience, everybody. Thank you for that lovely introduction. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here. Taryn Duffy. As was said, I've worked with Empire City Casino for a really long time, 14 years in-house with them, 6 years under MGM, which they acquired the property in January of 2019. And I was the vice president of public affairs for Massachusetts and New York. And so this year decided to step out and start my own consulting, but happy to still be working on this project because it is so incredibly important. And I'm pleased to have them as a client and still be working with them. So Liz and Linda asked me to give you a full walkthrough of this project. And they specifically asked for the details that are not in any of the news reports that you guys are seeing in the newspaper. So I have a lot of content here. I'm going to try to move through it pretty quickly. I would say write down your questions. Liz is going to moderate and take them in the chat afterwards. So I think as I move forward through this presentation, perhaps I answer all your questions, but let's get into it. So today we are talking about transforming Empire City Casino into MGM Empire City. So above you see the current property. It's 97 acres, incredible location. Below is our vision for our first phase 1 of the project. And so many of you know that the track, as was asked, I think it was John Jordan who dropped that in the notes there. The track is historic. Founded in 1899, celebrating 126 years. It's a part of this region's history. We're very proud to have that and to be stewards of that track. We've made a lot of investments in that track. It will absolutely stay with us moving forward. The property was converted into what is considered a VLT casino, video lottery terminal operations. So that construction happened in 2005. We opened in October of 2006. A second $50 million expansion was done between 2011 and 2013 by the former owners, the Rooney family. To date, MGM acquired this property in January of 2019, as I had mentioned, $850 million to acquire it. An extraordinary amount of investment happening after that. So they're about $1 billion in right now and just improving the property and doing the first track upgrades that had been done in decades, et cetera. MGM, I think this is really important. I just want to make sure everybody understands MGM Resorts as a company itself, the size and scope of them, right? Global entertainment company, tremendous presence throughout the US and internationally, 35 plus arenas and entertainment venues, significant number of employees, 78,000 overall, 25 resort destinations, et cetera. This is something they do really, really well. 440 food, beverage, and club experiences. So this is not, a small operation by any stretch of the imagination, and they have tremendous scale. So in addition to MGM Resorts, they own Leo Vegas, which is an online sports betting and iGaming operator in Europe. There's BetMGM, of course, which is our sports betting and iGaming brand. And then we have Push Gaming, which is a digital gaming content provider. Ken, first of all, I feel like Ken did so well talking about our property. I was so impressed by everything he knew. He's the county executive, is such an incredible partner, and we're really, really lucky to be operating in an area where we have such tremendous support. But he mentioned the entertainment, and that is something that MGM is known for. They are actually the 3rd largest ticket seller to live events on the globe. They host, 8,000 events and et cetera. So it's just big. In terms of Empire City's current operations and impact, we have about 750 employees right now, largest private employer in the city of Yonkers. Nearly $1 billion has been generated to support and subsidize horse racing. We are entirely, just really strong unions, 13 unions under one roof. 80% of our workforce is represented by a union. Our payroll, which this is an incredible fact, but our payroll currently is about $90 million a year. That was not the case when MGM acquired the property. The property at the time, actually pre-COVID, had significantly more employees, really, over 1,000, and the annual payroll was 45 million. We now have, through attrition, less employees, but yet the payroll has doubled, and that is because they doubled the employee salaries. We welcome more visitors than the Statue of Liberty. 50% of our gross gaming revenue is directed to schools for New York State, and to date, that totals over $5 billion that's been generated. We all know the impact of that on reducing property taxes, so it's really, really important. Each year, the state gets about $315 million for school. That's $25 million a month. That's a lot. Nearly 70% of our gross gaming revenue is paid to the state in taxes and fees. So essentially, that is the equivalent of a business operating at a 70% tax rate. Very, very hard to do, while paying the highest wages in the country, in the industry. So our employees are really local residents, right? So a third from Yonkers, less than a third from the Bronx, 50% from Westchester. And we really do try to spend locally to have that great economic impact in local businesses. So about 30 million spent annually with businesses providing services within 20 miles of the property. I mentioned the payroll, and I just want to reiterate this, that 45 to 90 million is a big jump. And that's because when MGM came in, the average pay per hour was about $18, and they doubled that to $36 per hour. And so, I always say, regardless of what letters are attached to your education level, it could be GED, it could be JD, MBA, whatever you've got, there is a position for people to develop a career in this industry. And so really robust benefits. I have a slide on that. Our average employee compensation package is $150,000 a year. And there are really rich benefits in here. So I would just point out that, from my perspective, the jobs are so important because they're really good jobs. And they really help people develop terrific lives. And if you decide you want to go get a degree or a master's degree, there's a subsidized program for that. Our college opportunity program allows people to further their education really at very little cost to them. So we are an employer of choice. As I mentioned, 80% of our employees are represented by unions. We have a lot of longevity there. The bulk of our employees have been there for a really, really long time. It is a sought after employer because of just the benefits and the opportunities for career, et cetera. Responsible gaming. We cannot talk about casinos without talking about responsible gaming. It is at the core of what we do. We are an entertainment entity. We want entertainment dollars. And so every employee that comes in and works with MGM goes through extensive training with the GameSense program, which is an international award-winning responsible gaming program. You will see signage throughout our entire property reminding people the house always wins, right? You're not coming in there with your mortgage money, we don't want that. So this is entertainment dollars. It's intended to be fun. Some people spend it on a Yankee game, or a Mets game. I'm not a sports person. Every team, whatever team you like. You might go to a Broadway play. Whatever you do with your entertainment dollars, those are the dollars we want. And it's really critical that our employees are trained to spot somebody who might have a problem gambling issue. We have 125 of our employees who actually receive intensive training, and they're considered GameSense advisors, et cetera. We make sure that they have the resources they need if there is an issue, and we can intervene. MGM Resorts, MGM Rewards is a great program, right? Their rewards program, 50 million members, 3 million of those just within 200 miles. I don't know how, I can't do hand raising because all I can see is my own screen, and Liz, I'm talking to myself over here, but I don't know how many of you have been to an MGM property, but we work really hard to kind of use, we might have New York players and we want to bring them to the Massachusetts property and we want them to bring them to Vegas, but we want them, they might go to the National Harbor property in Borgata in Atlantic City. So there's a lot of market sharing, if you will. And this really gives us an edge to make sure that MGM Empire City is going to be as successful as it can possibly be, because we have access to this tremendous database. I'm going to play a little video for you, which is why I redid this so that the sound works. I hope it does work, but this will give you, I think, a really good perspective of our vision for this property and what we think players and guests deserve to have. So it's quick, 2 minutes. I think I just played it again. How do I get to the next screen, Liz? Bear with me, guys. Bear with me.
I think you just hit, you might have to stop share.
No, I got it, Liz. I got it.
Okay. Got
I'm
it.
so glad
By the
this
way,
is
it's a great
recorded.
video. I just wrote in the chat, who else wants to know how that was made? How much did it cost and what was AI? How did you do that?
It's definitely not AI. So I love that this is being recorded and all my flubs can be shared with the world. So I can't see anybody else's face, but I have watched that video so many times. We have a longer version as well. It is the coolest thing. You could see it on our website. And maybe it's because I love this city so much in this county, and I've got 14 years invested in getting a commercial casino license for this property. But I am so grateful that we have MGM Resorts to work with on this, and it's just going to be terrific. Anyway, so diving back, and Liz and Linda asked me to walk through the landscape, the timeline, and the process. So we're going to be talking about commercial casino licenses, and I'm going to explain what that means. So commercial casino licenses in New York allow you to have what's called Class 3 Las Vegas style slots, live dealer table games, and retail sports betting. We cannot have that right now because we have a lottery. It used to be a lottery license, video lottery terminals. So the New York State Constitution was changed many years ago to allow up to 7 commercial licenses. 4 of those licenses were previously issued to casinos operating upstate, right? So for any of you who've been to any of those casinos, they've been operating for quite a while. That leaves these 3 licenses available that are expected to be issued in the downstate locations. And in 2022, the New York State budget was included language that established the criteria that the state can use allowing them to issue those 3 additional licenses. They don't have to issue all 3 of them, but I do anticipate that they will. A lot of people, a lot of people still say to me, they're like, oh, there's casinos in New York. There's actually a lot of casinos in New York. But it's interesting that people don't necessarily realize that. So a lot of tribal casinos, there's the 4 commercial casinos that I had mentioned. And then there are several video lottery terminal locations like us. And so I want to point out on this map here, 20 million is the population of New York State overall. And we also know that New York City historically brings in almost 70 million tourists, right? And so if you look at the bottom right-hand corner of this map here that I circled in red, you'll see Empire City Casino is operating here in Westchester. You have Jake's 58 on Long Island, and you have Resorts World New York City and Jamaica, Queens at the Aqueduct track. Those are 3 video lottery terminal casinos. The population in this area, Westchester, Long Island, New York City, 13 million of the 20 million people in New York reside here. Plus you have that 70 million tourists. So that is why this is like what they're calling the Hunger Games of casino licensing. And that's why it matters. And so here for the competitive landscape, and it is absolutely competitive, you could well imagine that initially there was a lot of interest in Manhattan. In Manhattan, you originally had 5 applicants. 2 of those have withdrawn and are no longer proceeding. You have the Times Square Caesar project. You have a Mohegan Sun project by the UN called the Freedom Plaza. And then you have the Silverstein properties, the Avenir, which is next to the Javits Convention Center. No parking at that location, which I think is wreaking havoc on their opportunity there. In Queens, you have the Resorts World Queens existing VLT, which I had mentioned. And then you have a project proposed by the Mets owner, Steve Cohen at Citi Field, which is a partnership with Seminole Hard Rock. In Brooklyn, you have several folks who have come together. They're not all listed here, but most of these projects have many partners. In Brooklyn, you have a proposal that's at the bottom of your screen called the Coney. And then in the Bronx, you have Bally's that is hoping to develop at the former Trump golf links. And in Westchester, of course, the only property outside of New York City proper left is us in Westchester. Las Vegas Sands had been moving forward on a project in Nassau at the Nassau Hub, and they have said that they're no longer proceeding, so they did not submit an application. Oh, I had an arrow in here to go to MGM. For when I said we're the only one outside of New York City. So the timeline is essentially we have all been working through our land use approvals. Those have to be completed by September. Ours is complete. Applications were all submitted June 27th, $1 million application fee. And for every application that was submitted, a community advisory committee was created so that these committees will review each proposal. And so for us, that's where we are now. We're at the step 3 in the community advisory committee process. So in New York City, they're made up of 6 members. Outside of New York City, it's made up of 5 members. And so those are appointees or the electeds themselves, the governor, the local senator, local assembly member, county executive, or in New York City, the borough president, the mayor. In New York City, they have the addition of a city council representative. And so this community group, their goal is to determine whether or not there's public support for the application. It's a critical component, and it was put in place very specifically to ensure that, I think Manhattan electeds were very focused on this, to ensure that a gaming entity couldn't just come in and change the face of a community. And so they have to follow open meeting laws. They have to hold at least 2 public hearings that are required, and then they will hold a formal vote open meeting. They need a majority, supermajority, 4 out of 5 for us. We'll have to say, yes, there is community support for this project. If they say no, and there is not community support, the application does not move forward. And they have to do that vote and make that announcement by September 30th. Any applications that do get that approval move forward to the scoring process. There is a 4-person right now member gaming facility location board appointed by the governor, and they will review and score the applications. They have to make recommendations to the Gaming Commission by December 1st, and then the Gaming Commission has said that they would announce awards by December 31st. So I won't go into all the details of this, but the application requirements, it's a $500 million minimum capital investment. The license fee is also $500 million. The tax minimums are 25% on slots, 10% on table games. Applicants absolutely can offer higher. And the evaluation is going to weigh very heavily on 70% on the economic activity and the business development, and then 10% each on local impact, workforce diversity framework. So just to give you a sense of the scoring, there are areas in this portion that we will score very, very well on. Capital investment, we are the smallest project. And so there is no guarantee that they will consider the previous $1 billion investment, but they have the ability to consider that. But revenues for state and localities, we will do very, very well in. We're definitely creating high quality jobs, highest caliber gaming facility. The entertainment venue is going to be very significant. We have proven speed to market, absolutely, because we will continue to operate as a VLT and then flip over to a commercial casino, et cetera. Ability to fully finance. We are self-financed, but have the option we're self-funded and have the option to finance if needed, et cetera. So we'll do really well on these different areas. Diversity framework, we're majority minority, we have a majority female leadership team, et cetera. So we'll do really well in the scoring. Let's talk about what this means for the region. It's going to be tremendous if we can secure this license. I said, it's a $2.3 billion worth of new private investment for a total of $3.3 billion. And so we talked about the license fee minimum, $500 million. The state had commissioned a market study for casinos that showed that with a commercial casino license, Empire City Casino would have a 50% plus increase in the gross gaming revenue. That's significant because a portion of that goes to the state. So they had in the study said that they anticipated a $949 million gross gaming revenue. We are projecting a $1.1 billion GGR for year one and growing through beyond that. 1.8 billion in new capital investment. And this I think is really big and I think will matter for all of you in the real estate world, is what this license does for the region. This will bring in $1 billion of new economic activity for the entire region, which is the tide that lifts all boats. The other thing that is unique only to us and does not apply to any of the New York City applicants is the fact that there is a 20% tax revenue share for local governments. This is similar to what they have in place for the 4 upstate casinos. 10% of our tax revenues will go to the city of Yonkers, 5% to Westchester County, 5% will be shared by Rockland, Putnam. The county executive mentioned that, and I'll get into the details a little bit later. One thing I can say is something that does not apply to all of the gaming operators that are jumping in on these bids, is that MGM just is very, very experienced as a regional operator. And so 5 of the 15 highest performing US regional gaming properties in 2024 are MGM properties. And so to walk you through this, because we're talking about numbers and economic impact and investments, I included this slide because I wanted you to see comparatively with, again, knowing that MGM operates some of the most successful regional properties, what the investments have been in these projects. So MGM Grand Detroit's been operating for a while, but that project cost about $800 million. MGM National Harbor, by the way, is the best producing regional property existing in the country. It is number 1 in the country. That project cost $1.5 billion. A little side note, I will tell you that if we get a commercial casino license, we will surpass, sorry, is my screen popping up things? We will surpass MGM National Harbor. And that's saying something because they're number one right now. MGM Springfield, beautiful property. If anybody's been, it costs about 1.1 billion. And then MGM acquired Northfield Park in 2019 at the cost of 1 billion. And so when you look at Empire City Casino in Yonkers and the fact that they're going to invest $3.3 billion in this property, it's impressive. And just scale, size, scope. Looking at the other casinos in New York that exist now, this is a commercial casino now. Tioga Downs costs 200 million. Rivers Casino, if ever anybody's been at Rivers Casino in Schenectady, 330 million to build. Del Lago, beautiful property, 440 million. Resorts World New York City is a VLT. That project did cost 1.1 billion because they added a hotel, but they also got state subsidies for that. And then Resorts World's Catskills project cost about 1.2 billion. So again, 3 times, right? We're 3x for the Yonkers property. And at the bottom of the screen, you'll see I put 2 recent transactions that happened in Vegas as a comparison. MGM sold the Mirage for just over $1 billion and purchased the Cosmopolitan for 1.6 billion. Those both happened a few years ago. So we talked about the rev share for the city of Yonkers. The first year projection is about $34 million of the gross gaming revenue for Yonkers. This just shows what that would add up to in 10 years, but it also conservatively only shows you year 1. It's not going to be 34 million because as we grow and people realize that they come to us rather than going to Pennsylvania, Connecticut, New Jersey, that number is going to scale. So this will be 340 million if there was no growth over the course of 10 years. For the county, same thing, very conservative slide, 17 million for the county in first year and its revenue share, that will grow significantly. Combined $500 million for the 2 entities. And as Ken had mentioned, the county exec had mentioned, Putnam and Rockland will get a share of that as well. But when you look at the other revenues that the city of Yonkers will receive, in addition to the $34 million in the gaming tax revenue, they'll also get annual property taxes, sales, wages, etc. And so the projection for year 1 for the city of Yonkers directly is $56 million. And that is to allocate however that city needs it. This goes a little bit into the weeds. I don't know if anybody's into numbers here. I guess you all are if you're doing real estate. This slide really shows that this is not an apples to apples process. So this is a comparison of a financial obligation that Empire City has as an existing VLT applicant versus what is considered a greenfield property, which would be a new licensee. So here, right now, the state gets $315 million a year from us on education. We need to ensure that that is paid every year. And then we also have the obligation to Yonkers, Westchester, Rockland, and Putnam. When you add in the nearly $70 million of the racing contributions that we also have to ensure that we pay, our total financial obligation from the get-go is $450 million. And that is, these are calculations based on this $1.1 billion in gross gaming revenue that we feel that we're going to have. So that's going to be great. Whereas a greenfield property will same gross gaming revenue will not have those obligations. And so they will have about half in total tax obligations, which is very, very significant. So when they're looking at applications and determining how much money the state's going to get from each, we're going to score really well on that. The future economic impact is going to be really significant when it comes to the job. So our 2,000 direct hires, I mentioned the $150,000 average compensation package, the indirect and induced jobs that will come from the additional economic activity in the region, that $1 billion worth of economic activity will be very significant. And then we'll have nearly $4 million in labor hours for 6,500 construction jobs to do the build out. This is also job focused. So we're talking about careers. We develop careers. We're not just doing job hirings. We have a lot of people that really develop significant careers here. So we work very focused on recruitment, training, career development, et cetera. We've got great local partners. And of course, we have strong community support, right? We have been, this is a property that's been accepting wagers for 126 years. It's been operating as a casino for 20. When MGM came in 2019, we did canvassing and we secured 10,000 petition signatures from local residents who really supported the opportunity for a commercial casino license so that the property can develop into its full potential. There's a third-party independent coalition that is a combination of business organizations, labor, nonprofits, et cetera, that have come together. So a lot of great support, a lot of press conferences held and rallies held. But I think what was really critical was that our application was submitted with more than 50 letters of support from government entities and business communities and education and unions and nonprofits. And so we're really grateful to have those the strength of those organizations. For our nonprofit partners, MGM is very, very focused on philanthropy, very laser focused on some very specific areas, including public education, workforce development, food insecurity, and environmental sustainability. And so, the belief of the board of MGM is that people need a good education, they need to work, and they need to eat. And so these are the three core areas that we focus on, and we fund programs throughout Westchester and the Bronx that support these programs. Employee volunteerism, also a very, very big focus area for MGM throughout the company. And so our employees are very engaged in that. I have met personally, in addition to talking with all of you, with so many different organizations to do this presentation, because everybody will benefit from this and it matters. So we are very excited to see what it looks like for us to develop into our potential, right? And this is phase one of this. So here we go, real estate slides. You guys are gonna like these. So the purple is just our existing facility. And so you see the left is the casino, just below that is the track. So we're zoomed in at the top of the property here. This is not the entire property. And on the bottom right, you see some administrative buildings. And so when you look, this slide shows you where we're building. Again, the track is at the bottom. I'm zoomed in here. Central Ave is on the left. Yonkers Ave is at the top. And so we know we're in a residential community. And so I have to say, when MGM came in 2019, incredible designs, but they have changed so often. The more they learned from the community, the more they heard back from stakeholders on what the region needed, the designs have changed significantly. One of those changes is to start with the development at the commercial corner of the property. So you'll see in purple is the existing space, about 282,000 square feet of space that will be fully renovated. So that will be existing casino, food and beverage venues, back of house, dealer school, HR and admin building. The darker blue is our new construction, about 360,000 square feet. So you'll see, I'll show you some pictures of the designs for the casino expansion, 3 new restaurants, entertainment venue, meeting space, new back of house space, and that light blue square is going to be the sexiest parking garage you've ever seen. 4,800 spaces. It's going to be the most expensive parking garage too, but it's going to be really great. And that will draw all of the parking that right now, the bulk of our property is used as surface parking. We have to shuttle people. You would be shocked at how the slightest drizzle or a little bit of snow really impacts our business. And so we are so excited that people are going to be able to just come into a parking garage and park and go right in. It's going to be amazing. I don't know why we're so excited about this, but it really is, really going to be fun. So here's the full design. And so you'll see the bulk of the new development is going to be up in that top corner. Whole site will be fully landscaped. I do want to point out, can you see my cursor here, Liz, if I'm pointing at this stuff? Do you see me moving my cursor around the parking lot?
Yes,
you do.
We do. Yeah.
So City of Yonkers is a city of hills. Water flows down. This is an old city, really old infrastructure. Pipes are not big enough. Sewers are not big enough. We are spending about $40 million to create a really significant floodwater mitigation system here that will capture as much water as possible, almost 96% of it, so that we can hold the water on our property and then slowly release it into the system. Nobody's more excited about this than the residents that live right around that area. It's going to be really substantial. Anyway, I just wanted to show you the bulk of that work will happen in this parking lot area. For anybody who has been in the casino, this is what it looks like right now. And what we would love it to look like is something more in line with MGM Resorts. And this is an image of our casino walk-up bar. And this will be the casino center bar. And what you see here is the integration of those live dealer table games that we're so excited to get. We will be able to build a high limit gaming area, which is great, with private gaming parlors for, you know, people who are playing a little higher limit and they want that private experience to be off the main gaming floor. Food and beverage, we will do extensive renovations there. We'll have the Empire Steakhouse, which really classic American steakhouse. All of our guests want that. An Asian cuisine called Noodles, which is like fast casual. We'll have BetMGM Sportsbook, which will be really great with food and beverage services. And then we have Parm, which we don't want to compete with our beloved restaurants that are immediately, we have great restaurants right around our property. And so we're bringing in Parm, which is like this casual Italian concept. It's partnership with the major food groups. They've owned Carbone and some incredibly successful restaurants in New York. We've already gotten a partnership with them, and the restaurants are in Vegas, etc. And then we'll have a high limit bar and lounge. We'll also be renovating the existing space. So the Tap Sports Bar will become at the current pub. We'll have a food hall. I'll show you some pictures of this. Obviously, cocktail bar and lounge at the center bar, casino walk-up bar that I showed you. There'll be 2 locations for that. And then a fully renovated employee dining room. These are images of the Empire Steakhouse, really high end, high touch. It's going to be great. This is the Noodles. And this is Parm. So really excited about this. This is the concept for Tap, which is an MGM brand. And we'll incorporate the history of the area. So racing will be very much incorporated into these designs. We currently have a food court. It's going to be redesigned into a food hall with outdoor seating, which will be heated for year round for our guests to enjoy that and be able to watch the races, etc. It's a popular spot. And then, of course, MGM Sportsbook. So this will be nearly 9,000 square feet of just a place for people to come enjoy. I mean, New York has so many sports teams, incredible sports teams. So finally, we'll be able to offer this with incredible wraparound LED screens and stadium style seating. So a place where people can come, place a wager on their favorite game, and really have the experience of being in person. On the entertainment, I mentioned earlier that MGM is the 3rd largest ticket seller to live events. They bring in entertainment and create these concert residencies, etc. And because of that, it allows them to also bring these talents and these performances to their regional properties. So Bruno Mars played at MGM Springfield, right? And I don't think there is another reason why MGM or Springfield would ever get Bruno Mars except for MGM. So we're really excited to be able to create an entertainment venue that will be able to house this level of A-list celebrities and performances for the region. So I'm very excited to show you this. A lot of work went into determining what the right size and scope was. We used PricewaterhouseCoopers to do a study and really look at what the need was for the area. They actually suggested a little bit of a smaller venue, but we wanted a little bit bigger because we knew who we were going to put in there, and we knew what the community wanted. So this is going to be incredible. And I mentioned earlier that MGM has a lot of different venues. And so this is actually going to be designed not externally, but internally, based on MGM Fenway Music Hall, which is in Boston. The acoustics are state of the art. The performers who have gone there have loved it. Everything is so close. And no matter where you sit, it feels like you're in your living room with a private audience, private performance. So it's pretty incredible. This is what we're going to have, and I'm very, very excited about this. And so wherever you sit, it's just going to be a tremendous location. But what I love about the design is that we heard from so many folks in the region that they need space for events and meetings and graduations. And so it's been designed so that it can really be flexible to accommodate those things. And so we're very happy about that. And there's also additional meeting space that's going to be attached to that could be used. The outside will be as sexy as the inside. So we'll get a new porte-cochere. We're very excited to earn our lion. If you see this lion here, we all want the lion. No fountains, though. That is a frequent question that I get. We will not have fountains. And there's our sexy parking garage. So that's going to be terrific. This is really just a slide of we will have our own on-site dealer school. We've partnered with Westchester Community College. So that'll be very good. That'll be ongoing. We provide the curriculum and the staff in Westchester Community College handles all the administrative registration, et cetera, for students. And then we'll have a recruitment center there. So that'll be great. Community services. So we will be providing more than $100 million in committed mitigations. That includes investments in additional police officers. The city asked us to expand significantly the number of traffic intersections that we will be upgrading and improving. They're nowhere near our property, but it will help the city and the traffic flow specifically or significantly. And I talked about the big investment in updated stormwater management system. Additionally, we have, I won't go into too much detail here, but we have we're the only property that has like its own police force. It's called the Yonkers Raceway Police. It's in legislation by the state. And so they are trained to do everything that a police officer can do, except they do not carry a weapon, but they can detain people. We have a holding cell. They go to court and do anything that's needed if in fact there is something needed. I will say that our property is incredibly safe. We have state-of-the-art cameras everywhere. Our guests know that. If you drop your phone, you drop your wallet, you win $1,000 and you drop your ticket and you go to security and you say, hey, I lost this, they will ask you where you were playing. They can backtrack to that. They see who picked it up, where it was lost, and they follow that person through and they are able to reclaim that. Because of this, we don't, there are crimes of opportunity where people are like, oh, somebody lost this, let me go cash it. But for the most part, people turn things in because they know they're going to get caught otherwise. And then if you are caught taking something on our property, you are banned and you will not be allowed back in. But anyway, so we work really hard to make it a safe environment for everyone. And this is the slide that talks about the fact that we will invest another $5 million in additional security staff to ensure it's, a safe place where people can come and play. And we work really well with YPD and it's a great partnership. Community benefits agreement is actually being voted on by the city council next Tuesday night. We are building, the city asked us to build a new library across the street. So it's $10 million new library and community center that's being built. They also asked for significant money for the small businesses around the area to do business facades for them. We're doing a lot of streetscaping that they'd like done on Yonkers Avenue. Investing significantly in, we already invest significantly in nonprofits, but we're doing additional investments, $1.5 million for local economic development and community needs, and then some park improvements there, and obviously local preference for hiring. I'm not going to go through the stormwater management, but if anybody has a question about it, I'm happy to talk about it. This is about some additional infrastructure work we're doing for the city that's not on our property, but they need it done. This just shows the various 27 different intersections that are being touched. And these are the additional 15 that the city asked us to do for a total of 42 that will help with traffic issues. Landscape and beautification, over 1,000 trees. It's going to look beautiful. I think I have some slides in here that'll show you the difference and what that'll mean here. Yeah, so here's one. So if you look at the site now and you look, this is the Central Park Ave view. It's going to be really beautifully landscaped and will elevate the entire area. From the other side, the Yonkers Ave side, same thing, really elevated view. It'll look really beautiful. You'll see here that our zoning does include zoning for a hotel, though that is not being built in phase one. But this is the spot there that that hotel will be built. We've done a lot of supplier outreach, pride ourselves on that. MGM has an incredible mentor program for small businesses that help them really scale up to be able to work with companies the size of MGM. And so we do a lot of outreach to show businesses what opportunities exist within MGM. We hold webinars. We have dedicated teams that go to all of the different local and national organizations and speak at those events. And then the supplier mentorship program we have, this is actually our Yonkers. So this is Jonathan Cocciola, who's our VP of Finance, and that's a picture of him with one of his business mentees. And he works with her. She's owner of Park Lane Graphics, and she went through the program and graduated in 2023. And so it's very hands-on, and they get assigned a mentor, and they work with that mentor to learn everything they need to know to be able to scale their business. So it truly is a transformational project for the region. Very excited about it. As the county executive said, and I mentioned earlier, the Community Advisory Council had held 2 public hearings. The second one is on September 16th. This is the details for that. And then also they're looking for people to submit their comments by email. This is really critical because we're a smaller market, right? And so there's so many more people in New York City, and they're turning out in droves at these community hearings to say that they support the projects. And so we really need to get as many Yonkers residents, particularly, to show up to Tuesday's hearing, but people from the region who are interested. But if you are supportive of the project, by all means, I encourage you to submit just an email to that email address and say, hey, I live here. I'm familiar with the project. I fully support it. We need
Yeah.
And that's what I've got. My contact information is here. I'm happy to talk to anybody at any time. Don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Taryn. That is overwhelming and quite impressive. So thank you for sharing that. We do have several questions. I'm going to start at the beginning. Somebody had asked earlier on when you were talking about the job creation numbers, why only 1/3 of the jobs were going to Yonkers and 50% to Westchester County.
So the 50% to Westchester County includes the Yonkers people, obviously. So that the point is that half of our employees currently come from Westchester. But that kind of makes sense, right? So like the city of Yonkers has about 200,000 people, right? So think about how many people are of age for jobs, and then how many want to work in our industry. So that number, while it might not sound significant, it's pretty significant to have that many people come from Yonkers. 50% of our employees come from, as I said, Westchester. So you might not live in Yonkers, but perhaps you live, in Hartsdale, or you're in White Plains, wherever you might live. The Bronx, which we are less than 2 miles from the border of the Bronx, by comparison, has 1.5 million people, right? Yonkers has 200,000, the Bronx has 1.5 million. So it makes sense that obviously a lot of folks there that, looking for employment as well.
Great, thank you. Somebody had asked also about having convention facilities, but I think you touched on the arena and.
Well, I mean, so if I can, I'll take a moment to talk about this. One of the differences, there's many differences between this project proposal and the others. One of the big differences is this is a now project. So what you are not seeing is a 5, 10, 20-year plan that could include a convention center and other amenities. That is certainly possible for the future if the market demands it, right? If there's a need for it. If you talk to Natasha Caputo, who heads up Westchester Tourism, she would say, yes, let's build a convention center right now. There's a lot of opportunity and potential for this property. It's a beautiful property, 97 acres, perfectly located. But MGM is not interested in telling New York what it might build. It's very pragmatic, and they are telling you what they're building right now. And that is the difference. That is why this project has such significant support from unions, because they know these jobs are real. You know, it's not jobs that they might get in 10 years. They're jobs they're going to get now, and they're jobs that are going to happen for a few years. I also didn't touch upon the speed to market portion. I don't know if anybody's interested in this, but we have the 6th largest gaming floor in the country. 6th largest gaming floor in the country. MGM was floored when they saw the size of our gaming floor. When they acquired us, we became the largest casino in the MGM portfolio. So that allows us to, if we get a commercial casino license, which we are hopeful for, we will be able to close down half the floor, start renovations on half the floor, while remaining operational as a VLT, and ensuring that the state still gets that revenue fund because it needs it. And so we are ready to flip the switch and open as a commercial casino, which will happen quickly. Within under a year, we will be able to flip the switch, open that half as a commercial casino, close down the VLT operations, and then continue on with the renovations there. The theater is expected to take 36 months to complete.
Great. That was another question, so I'm glad you answered that.
There you go.
Then we have a question.
Not long enough. I'm going to answer them all.
You'll touch on it all eventually. The next community advisory committee meeting is September 16th. Is that when you're expecting a vote on the project that night?
No, so that is a public hearing for people to come out and speak and share their thoughts on the project. And so these are the public hearings that these 5 community advisory council appointees are using to determine whether or not there is community support for the project. If they determine that there is no community support for the project, we will not proceed. We will not move forward. And that's always
Do you anticipate that?
I have my concerns, and we cannot take anything for granted, because the truth of the matter is, and we all know this, it is the people who have something negative to say that are often the loudest voices. There's also an expectation. I think people unfortunately think that this is a given, right? That, oh, of course, Empire City is going to get it. If the state had done this 5 years ago, I'd be saying the same thing. Of course, we're going to get it. That is not the case now. The state, there's a lot of things. A lot of it's political, but also just financial. The state needs significant amounts of money. You have people who don't necessarily know, the chair of the gaming facility location board was reported in Bloomberg to have said that she's never been in a casino and she has no interest in going to a casino, but she's very interested in housing. So, I have my own personal concerns, but the truth of the matter is that unless people show up and say that, they're keeping score, and unless people say, this is a project that this region needs, and they can't all go to New York City, right? This is the lower Hudson Valley. It's very impactful for this region. Sure, if they don't get the turnout that they need, they don't have to say that it can move forward.
I should have reminded you that you were being recorded when you answered before you answered that question. But briefly,
love everybody. Yes, I love everybody.
You've mentioned different phases of the project. Can you just briefly summarize what the differences are between the phases? I think there are 3.
So there's not 3, there is 1, and that's kind of it, right? Like, so we're saying this is phase 1 of this project because this is what we're planning to build now. Does MGM have ideas? Sure. Are any of those being proposed? No. Whereas on the other projects, they're saying, oh, over the course of 10 years, we're going to build this. So this is a phase 1 project, and this is what we're building right now. So I want to be clear. It's not like we're saying, oh, phase 3, we're going to build an entertainment venue. We're building it all now. Everything I showed you today is being built now if we get this commercial casino license.
Okay, except for the hotel, which is...
A hotel is something that is zoned, but we are not building a hotel right now.
Okay. And the reason for that is?
I mean, frankly, there's not a market demand. It gets a little complicated, but the truth of the matter is that particularly when you're building a regional casino in a population density that we have now, most people are coming within 20 miles of their home, right? We're the closest casino to Midtown Manhattan. We're 13 miles away from Midtown. So the truth of the matter is, people don't really need a hotel to stay in. If they do, there's plenty of hotel rooms available immediately around us. And so I will tell you that the Westchester Hotel Association is actually very excited that we're not building a hotel immediately. And the other thing is that when MGM made the assessment of how to invest its money, it was really analyzing what's going to create the highest number of jobs, what is going to bring in the highest amount of revenue for the state and the local governments, et cetera. And so that is why the entertainment venue was prioritized. I mean, and MGM also really took a very thoughtful approach to the restaurants. Sure, they could have built 8 new restaurants. We will have enough people to fill those restaurants, but we don't want to decimate the restaurants that are immediately around us. So, we tried to add things that are not immediately available for our guests, and things that would not really take away from the immediate businesses around us. We have 2 diners around us. We're not going to create a diner, type food. We have beautiful Italian restaurants around us. We were very cautious about that.
That's great. And finally, probably the most important question asked by Mr. Jeffrey Lansman, is there going to be poker?
Jeff loves his poker, of course.
That's great. Well, thank you so much. If anybody else has any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat quickly. Lastly, Taryn, can you just remind us, in order for the realtor community to come out and support this, if everybody is in support, what action should we take? We come to this meeting, we go online, what do we do?
Yeah, so I think you could do one of 2 things. You can show up at the meeting on Tuesday. It's at the Montessori Academy in Yonkers. You get 3 minutes to speak. You don't have to speak. You could just say, my name is, and I reside here, wherever you reside, and I'm here just to voice my support, of the project here. And I urge the CAC to vote yes.
Are we able to distribute your presentation, or is that just for today's viewing?
That is for today's viewing, though you've recorded it, so everyone will see it when you share it. But I don't have the deck to share for people.
Okay, great. When we send our recap, when we post the recording, we'll also put the meeting information. So if anybody does want to go to the community hearing, you'll have that information there too. We'll put it on the member portal for HGAR.
Great. I really appreciate the support. Thank you. And I'm happy you asked me to do this. And I'm hoping it was helpful and informative to your members.
I think it's a clear economic impact for our area, and it's a lot of changes to anticipate, but I think it's definitely an exciting prospect. So Don, Steve, do you have anything to add to wrap up today?
No, Taryn, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And we encourage everybody to try to attend that meeting. If you can't attend, that's fine. Stay tuned. I'm sure there'll be, more opportunities to support the project in the future.
Thank you all. I really appreciate it. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thanks everyone for joining this Zoom. Liz, thanks for putting it together as well. I think everyone on this Zoom sees the vision that MGM has over there. And I think we could all get behind it because it's going to recreate the landscape of Yonkers Avenue and that whole corridor over there. So
not every community that has an opportunity like this. I mean, this is a significant change to Yonkers is a small, big city, right?
It really gives vibes of the DC National Harbor MGM.
I love that property.
And I think that
that's beautiful.
I've been to conventions over at the Gaylord, and driving by it, just it's an amazing property, and I would love to see it in our backyard. So
yeah.
I hope we could all get out there and support you and MGM, and thank you for your time.
All right, thank you guys. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody. And just a reminder to HGAR members, if you haven't registered for Impact, our Members Day event, it is September 29th, and you can go to www.hgar.com to register. Right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.